Let's discuss social change today. Now, what is social change? Change, as we all know, is a part of life which we see every day. Social change, on the other hand, takes time. Sometimes it is very evident, sometimes it's not. For example, social change can be the removal of parda system, education of women. Was it very often that we saw women in the 1950s and 60s to go out and study as much as they do now? No. So, this is what? This is a social change. And how does this change come? We are going to understand this in the lecture. So, according to Yogendra Singh, there are two factors of social change. It is either endogenous or exogenous. Now, what is endogenous? That it is born out of the changes in the particular society, and exogenous is which has come due to external influences. Now we'll discuss these one by one very briefly. The elaborate lectures will be discussed later on. So the first, endogenous changes, little and great tradition. That is, it comes from within the society. For example, if I read something in the Gita or in any of the old literature sources, and I see that Lord Rama respected his father very much so, and he had a deep reverence for his gurus. So, this is a kind of tradition where there is a source, that is the Ramayana, and that practice is continued till date. We still respect our gurus, revere them, and our parents as well. So, this is a kind of great tradition which has some sort of acceptance by the elites. This term was given by Robert Redfield, and he studied the Yucatan tribe of Mexico. Now, what is little tradition? Little tradition is just the opposite. So, where there is a kind of universalization in the great traditions, little traditions are more local in nature, which is confined to small societies, and there is no source. Like it might not be mentioned in big sources of literature, but it is still passed from one generation to another. So, if there is a small tribe, say for example, and they have their own tradition and it is passed from one to another generation, that is still a tradition, but it is not mentioned in any of the sources. Now, coming to the next, it is Sanskritization. Sanskritization, this term was given by M. Srinivas. He studied the tribes of Rampura village in Mysore, and he studied that the lower caste people, in order to gain cultural mobility, in order to gain status, higher status, they imitate the practices of the higher caste people, and in this case it was Brahmin. So this term was earlier known as Brahmanization, but then to make it more wider, he changed it to Sanskritization. Next is Islamization. Islamization, as the name suggests, it came to India in the 12th century AD. So it came to India. So it is an exogenous source. It is coming from somewhere to India, and it brought with itself many changes. Now, we know that we were ruled by the Islamic leaders, and due to that rule, there were certain changes in the structure of Indian society. Like the food habits changed, new food was introduced, parda system, architecture, paintings, everything saw a drastic change. The Indian architecture and the Muslim or Islamic architecture is highly contrasting in nature. So these were the changes that were brought about. It also brought about a tehzeeb, that was the Ganga Jamuni tehzeeb, which is a fusion of Hindu and Muslim cultural and religious elements. And modernization. So, modernization, as the name suggests, it was also brought about with the coming of Britishers in India. And what happened was people started adapting the lifestyle, values, food habits, perhaps ideas, choices of the Britishers. They were very much influenced by how they were, how they dressed up, and that is how modernization came into being. But M. N. Srinivas, he thought of modernization as a negative term, and he preferred the term Westernization over it. He said that changes brought about in the Indian society were brought about with the Britishers, and it is not very good for us to follow them because they were ruling us. It was wrong of them. But then Yogendra Singh, he defended this term of modernization and said that it is a cultural term. It is not only confined to Indian society. He said that M.N. Srinivas is taking it very personally that the Britishers ruled us, and we took some of their ideologies and made it a part of ours. But Yogendra Singh said no, it is not confined to one society. It is a rather universal term. Now, how were these changes brought about? What were the agents of these changes? Did it just happen in one night? We just saw the Britishers, we liked their sense of dressing and we adapted it, or the people from lower caste, they just saw the Brahmins practicing something and they just practiced it? No, there are many agents behind whenever a change takes place. There are various agents. So let us discuss the agents one by one. First is mass communication. When the advertisements started showing along, for example, if you remember, in the 90s, there were many advertisements in which the women were shown in a very different way. They were dressed up, and in the serials also, they used to be very dressed up, even when the shooting was done at houses. So it presented a rather different image of women. So that is how these small things, newspaper articles, advertisement, movies, mass communication, all these sources, they started bringing a change in the Indian society. Second is education. Our education system was very different initially. It was all about Vedas and studying our old culture and tradition. But slowly and gradually, we started studying about the whole world, the culture of other countries, culture of other societies, and it brought about a change in our mindset. Charismatic leadership. So, we have discussed this in Weber's authority, charismatic authority. If you have a very charismatic leader, for example, if you have a very charismatic teacher, you will always be influenced by teacher, and somewhere in your mind and heart you would want to be like that teacher. You would want to adapt something in your life that resembles to that teacher. So that also brings about social change. And the last is industrialization. So with the introduction of industries, division of labor, machinery, standard of living were raised, and these things slowly brought about various changes. Now, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, changes are not always very evident. They can vary, the degrees vary. So now we'll discuss the types. When they are uh, always evident, they are known as absolute changes, like girl education. It is very much evident now. Relative change. Relative is when we compare. So comparing perhaps India's divorce rate to the United States divorce rate. This is relative change. What is the change here? Sorry. Next is latent and manifest change. So manifest is what we can see, latent is what we cannot. For example, if you look at a tree, you look at its branches, but can you look at its roots? No. So the roots are latent, that is hidden, and what we can see are the branches. So all the changes that we can see are manifest changes and latent changes that we see very rarely, or it takes a really long time to show itself. For example, the culture of live in relationships. It is there in the society, but it is not that manifest in nature. Now, coming to the consequences, what were the consequences of these social changes in the Indian society? So, what happened is when we are very much influenced to other cultures, there becomes a conflict in our own culture. We stop listening to our parents, for example, for our teachers, because we think we are more educated, we have learned more. So, therefore, it causes generation gap. We are not able to truly and frankly talk to our parents because we think we know better, we are more advanced, and also our parents think that adhering to their old values and culture is the way ahead and not changing. So, it also brings about role conflict, alienation, because we feel there is some kind of loneliness. We feel too much attached to what we are producing, the producers and the materialistic world. These kind of things are there which we feel attached to, and the real relationships we are losing them. So it causes alienation, anxiety, and the most affected lot is the youth in our society. Now, coming to the conclusion, we know that society is always in transition. Society is never stable, it is always transitioning. We feel that we have come to a very advanced level today, but is it the end of the change? No, it will be more developed, more rapid changes will come in the future with more and more technology. So this is what was said by Yogendra Singh, that the society is always in transition. And because of these transition, what happens is some people adapt to those changes very well and some do not. So the people who do not, they stick to traditionalism, and the people who do, they become more and more modern. So there's a clash of ideas between these two groups. So, what is required, what is the need of the hour is the balance and stability to maintain the structure. We have to move forward with time, but at the same time, we should not forget our culture and our values. So, there is a need for balance and stability. Now, let us discuss some questions. First is, a mechanistic view of society would see social change as stemming from. So, mechanistic is what? When we deny or when we ignore the emotional reality, and we are looking at something as a view to criticize it, to analyze it, and how it has changed the social process. So this is what is mechanistic. So the answer will be exogenous, because it has come from outside, and when we look at it, we do not have any emotional value attached to it. It is completely not non-emotional. Therefore, this disapproval and critical view is mechanistic. The answer is A, exogenous sources. Next question. Some social change occurs without being noticed by most members of a society is known as a without being noticed. So if it had been noticeable, the answer would have been manifest, which is right in front of us. But because it is not noticed, the answer will be B, latent change. For the example I gave you, a tree, latent are the roots and manifest are the fruits, leaves, and branches that we can see. Thank you for watching the video.